How's it going, everybody? My name is Alex Rosales, and this is my presentation on the leadership assessment and self-reflection. I've got this slide labeled as diving in because I just want to give you a little bit of background information of how this PowerPoint presentation is going to go. I've got both my results and my reaction incorporated into one slide so it doesn't drag on and it gives you all the details that y'all need. Also, before I get into the nitty-gritty, I just want to tell you that my test results for both tests are basically spot on to how I view myself. So that's why I have both the results and the reaction all in one, because I do believe that it is very accurate. Starting us off with the MBTI test results, I am indeed a consul, or in terms of ESFJ-T. It says that in the summary of my test results, it says I have a warm heart with a steady hand to keep social, workplace, and family life running smoothly. I have a genuine care for others, placing other needs above my own. I make myself belong within my community, and I also thrive in structured environments through traditions and routines that I keep close to my heart. Going back on the warm heart aspect, my roles and expectations need to be made very clear in order for me to succeed at whatever task I am doing. I also take pride in what I do. Every single thing that I do, regardless if it's big or small, I take pride and I take ownership in every little aspect of my life of what I do. I also have strong organizational skills. I know where everything is at all times. It's not messy organization. It's very structured, clean, organized skills to where I have everything at my beck and call when I need it. As for my personality traits, these are the percentages that I received along with whatever percentage y'all received when y'all completed the tests. I am 56% extroverted over introverted. I like that number, and I have in parentheses balanced and within reason. It shows that I'm not to this 80-90% of extrovert where I'm bouncing off the walls and you can spot me from a mile away. However, I'm not reserved and I'm not going to shy away from conversation. Every now and then, I might not be the one that starts up the conversation. However, I'm going to be a person that can continue on the conversation and hold my own. When it comes to the 73% observant over intuitive, I read people's body language and how they act and every little detail that they do to help kind of formulate that 67% feeling over thinking. I decide everything that I do goes back to my values and gut feelings back on our last slide. It's a little bit thinking. I don't know how these two kind of differentiate from one another, but I have that feeling percentage a little bit over the edge of thinking. And on top of that, this leads to the 72% judging. I'm not judgmental. I just formulate perspectives off of how observant that I am. So if you're being a bad human being, I could pretty much put that together in about 2 seconds. However, this also comes to the 64% turbulent over assertive. I'm a perfectionist. I'm going to get into that in the next slide. I hold everything close to my heart, as I said. So everything within my personality traits and everything that test results, everything is intertwined and very much so connected. For my influential traits, first and foremost, I'm a perfectionist. I have baseball in there. I played baseball all my life. I played collegiately. I played back in high school before COVID hit. I was a COVID senior. However, being a perfectionist, not only in sports, is a very hard thing to do, but baseball of all sports to where you only succeed 3 out of 10 times and are still considered the best of the best. If you apply that to any other aspect in life, 30% is way more than just failing. That is abysmal. But perfectionist in baseball, it is a blessing and it is a curse, which leads me to being a leader and a motivator. I'm a coach now. I have to take that leadership position because of how much I've set the bar of what my expectations are. Because I push for perfection, I kind of expect that out of the players that I coach. I motivate them. I'm resilient, confident. You can see the rest of the details within the bullet points here. I'm gritty, I'm controlling in a positive way. I'm not a controlling freak, but I take control of a situation and I try to handle it the best way that I could. I'm authentic, I'm true to myself, I'm as loyal as a dog, I'm selfless, intelligent in what I do, and I have very, very high ambitions in life. As for my strengths, I am people-oriented. I know how to be able to hold a conversation in a social setting. I'm detail focused. I know what I have to do to get a task done. I'm collaborative, organized, going back to what I said earlier. I'm a peacekeeper. I try to avoid confrontation if there needs to be. I'm responsible. You can count on me. Eager to learn through feedback. If you have something to teach me, I'm eager to learn. I'm always trying to better myself in every aspect of my life. I'm socially comfortable. Goes back to the people-oriented part. I'm an empathizer. I care about your feelings. Those two are kind of connected. I'm supportive, going back to being loyal again, and I have the ability to include others. I do not like to exclude others. If people feel like they want to be a part of my inner circle and I trust them enough, I will keep them close to me. On the other hand of my weaknesses, I do have a neglection of self-needs because of the fact that I like to put others first, which, going back down to the people pleaser, later on down the bullet points, that's kind of connected again as a lot of these things are. Sometimes I can be viewed as a doormat. When I was younger, these were really, really core issues in my life. However, as I've gotten older and matured, I've learned how to acknowledge these not being my strengths. However, I've limited to them how much they affect my daily life. I do have issues with change. That one right there is one of the biggest things. I have a routine of, even in the most simple things in life, I have to do everything in an order. And even if I do B before A, it throws everything off. I am emotionally sensitive. That has gotten better over the years. When I was younger, you could look at me wrong and I'd start having a panic attack. Now, that doesn't really faze me as much. However, I do wear my heart on my sleeve, so some things do affect me more than others. I do have a fear of making mistakes. I have gotten better about that because you can't do that playing baseball. And avoiding conflict, that's also been an area of issue. If need be, I know how to hold my own. However, I try to avoid it at all costs. And I do bring on the absorption of others' emotions because I try to put myself in other people's shoes way too many times. It's a very empathetic thing to do. However, the burden of it sometimes doesn't really make me mentally sane. Like I said at the bottom, I have grown since maturing to limit these, and I've had an issue of sometimes I need positive feedback just to keep me going because sometimes I feel like I'm not doing a good enough job if people don't let me know any, whether positive or negative feedback, just to know where I stand in their life. Moving on to our second test of what I take. This is my check boxes, or whatever you want to call it, of each north, south, east, west, and in parentheses, which one each stands for. I got 8 as my leadership, working my way down. I do want to say that I am pretty well balanced in my life because all 4 of them are within 4 check boxes of one another. However, you can see that empathy is my number 1 trait. With my strengths, just to make sure it's clear, this is within a workplace environment as per the test that I took. I know how to properly give information to others, especially kind of relating to like a baseball game. If one of my players is sucking it up, I'm not going to go over to him because they are kind of younger. If they're grown adults and I can go tell them blatantly to their face. With them being younger kids, I'm not going to tell them, you suck, you go sit on the bench, you're never going to play again. I need to be like, hey, I just need to give you a change of scenery, get these other guys a chance, just let you take a deep breath, come back through it. So that's how it goes about knowing how to properly give information to others. I read the situation, going back at being observant. I do integrate others' input into a situation. I kind of want to incorporate others to be able to help us figure out the best course of action. My decisions are based off of personal values and beliefs, going back to that gut feeling. It never really usually steers me wrong because I have a pretty good head up here. I do thrive through interaction in professional settings. The more that I stay interactive with others keeps me more involved because sometimes I get off track and it keeps me in check. What I will say is that I'm also a team player. I play team sports all my life, so I have to say that has helped me a lot in this aspect. I do support others around me. I'm going to be your biggest cheerleader if you're on my team with me, whether it's in a classroom or in a sports setting. I'm going to cheer you on, and I'm going to take you to the victory lane. My feeling-based decisions do pretty much steer the majority of my decisions that I make in my life. And finally, I do focus on the present, and I'm able to be where my feet are. A lot of people are so focused on the past, harping on the past, and too worried about the future to enjoy where you are now, enjoy the journey, and enjoy those around you. With the weaknesses that come from this test, I do lose focus sometimes on tasks if relationships may be compromised. I'm an empathizer. Sometimes I choose the road of making sure that everybody feels okay, even if it throws us off task, which at the end of the day, that's not what you want. However, it's a bad trait of mine that I need to be able to fix and consistently be able to work on more often. I do have trouble saying no. That has been a long-term thing for me. However, being in a coaching position, I have to say it a lot of times. However, still not as comfortable to me. I don't think it should be comfortable for everybody. However, I have worked on that. I do place blame on myself for everything, and it leads to stress, aka being a perfectionist. It is a blessing and a curse. It holds a standard very, very high, but it sometimes does set you up for failure more often than not. When I am in confrontation, I do have trouble dealing with my emotions and sometimes become angry for my own good. I'm not going to go punch a wall or throw a temper tantrum. I get flustered, and sometimes I'm not able to think clearly because I'm too overwhelmed in a situation. So to be able to keep my cool in check is when I'm able to thrive. And finally, I do struggle in planning in the future because on that last slide, I did explain that I like to be in the present. Sometimes I get too immersed in the present that sometimes I fail to plan for the future. And sometimes I don't even know what I'm doing the day after because of the fact that I'm focusing on the here and the now. Other than that, these would be my core 5 places that I think that I should work on the most in my life going forward. To wrap us up, my final 2 slides are going to be the growth plan that I've developed. The way that I would do it is just 5 minutes after every single day when you get home from work or whatever you may be doing in your life. Write down one thing on like a little notebook or something like that you felt like you did well on, and one thing that you feel like you can improve upon. It's very important. Do this isolated. Do this by yourself. Keep it to yourself. No need to discuss it. It just keeps yourself honest, and on top of that, it shows how to work by yourself. The second thing, it also keeps your busy schedule still manageable and doesn't force daily change. If I was going to do a crazy change, it would kind of fluctuate and change everything around you in your life. So just these 5 minutes allows you to be able to do your routine every single day the same while adding on this, and it really wouldn't change too much of what you're doing. The way I do it is for 7 days, and on Sunday look back at the results and discuss with a loved one or significant other. The reason why I chose Sunday is because not only is it like a day of rest, but it's the day before your work week starts again. So you can go back and reflect upon what has worked and what hasn't, and go into this next week with a mentality of know what you can do better and what you can keep working on. That's a good thing. The other reason why I discuss with a loved one is that that's when it opens up the communication. You know how to work isolated, and you know how to work with another person and be vocal, how to open up communication going into that next bullet point. It offers you different perspectives, honestly, and it opens communication along with trust. You have to do this with somebody you trust. So there's so many aspects that are incorporated in this plan that I've put together. You have trust, opens up communication. It even shines light of different perspectives from your significant other on your plan that you are doing. It also has a built-in accountability partner. That is right then and there. Everybody needs an accountability partner because sometimes I'm an integrity-filled guy. However, I know a lot of people in this world sometimes struggle with that. Accountability partner is perfect for that. Like I said, it is also well balanced between isolation and communication. In conclusion, this could strengthen your relationship, or even if you kind of have a little bit of issues here and there and you're trying to work through some things, this could potentially reignite it as well. Offers for them to do the same thing too. If they want to join in and start writing down their positive and their negative from the week, it can catch like a forest fire. And like I said at the very end, word can spread and others around you can join in on it. And it just spreads within the community, and everybody else could try to create a better version of themselves. Another thing is you could kind of like mark down end of the month. You can create a self-award if seen positive progress over the course of 1 month. So June 30th or July 31st, something like that. If you felt that not only within yourself, but your partner feels like you've worked on something and you've done a great job, buy yourself some special treat, like a little extracurricular activity. Go buy like a jersey if you're into jerseys, or tennis shoes or something like that, something like a fun purchase. Not only is it mentally responsible because it keeps you in check, but it also allows you to be financially responsible so you're not blowing money out of your wallet. So Other than that, I think it's a pretty simple thing. Honestly, I hope some of y'all kind of look into this as well, and maybe word might spread about this. If you see this and like it, go ahead and do it and share it to your friends. Other than that, good luck on y'all's finals next week, and I look to hear from y'all soon. Thank